This week on Plebs of the Week, we have more purposeful puns and more reporting to do, as well as this is why you probably shouldn't take a screenshot in the middle of a race. Hello everyone and welcome back to a Plebs over the Week. Now we're doing this slightly differently this time. We started with daily race A and D-Bad here has gone straight into the French driver up ahead. We're going to do daily race A, then B, then C. I will get my words out there. And then also I want to talk about something at the very end of this because it's getting quite frustrating and annoying. If we've seen some actions, I really want to address that. Quick to hear though, in the bus stop chicane, the D-pad is trying to make sure they keep P1. However, Pyro Rap goes on by. Well played to avoid that. However, D-pad is on a bit of a mission here and absolutely sends it into them to try and win the race. Unfortunately for them, they crash big style as well, so they're going to end up losing the race victory, race lead, and drop all the way back because they've got a 9-second penalty. What I found most bizarre though is as they came into this corner, they didn't really try and react any further. DRC this one, that one I will be reporting, so just a heads up with that. I will explain reporting as well at the end of the video. We go on board Lethal Ox here. Coming into here, there's a bit of movement there in the break zone by Lupin, which I think caused the issue there with Ox. I don't think that was intentional by any stretch of the imagination. We're going to head down towards turn number 1 here with Lupin and Philip, and he gets a slight tap from behind there, does Lupin. As we go through here, just a bit of contact here, there, and everywhere. Again, I don't think that's significant, and they try and come back on the track while somebody's there. DRC, again, I just think that's what you expect in DRC, if I'm honest with you. So obviously that's just bad driving more than anything. Jump on board Maiden 666 here. Start of the race, absolutely sends Nico to the realms. I mean, that's just disappointed to see. No idea why. So you could probably argue maybe they've got some bad issue with them in a previous race. Maybe so. But Digipixel, who submitted this one there, gets pushed off the circuit, comes back on the circuit there. And as we head towards this left-hander, they're going to send it into them. So they're clearly just on a mission to annoy everybody and smash into everybody. This is actually another driver I will be reporting. We started off with 2 reports, which is not the greatest thing in the world in terms of the video. As we continue on through here, so the Swede then pushes themselves on through. As we head up to this right-hander, again, the Lamborghini into the back of the German driver. They're up to 6.5 seconds of penalties right now. Going through here, they don't care who their victim is. They just want to hit everybody off the circuit. They send the Spanish driver off there. And, of course, they're going to end up with another penalty once it loads here. In towards the left they go. They can't exactly punt there properly as we continue on. 10.5 seconds now. But they do go into the back of the French driver and send them off, which is going to add to their penalty again here. Now, why am I showing you this? Well, in this situation, it's very clear this is just dirty driving as we go into the last corner and they send more people off. This type of behavior, to me, is not acceptable. And I show this so that I can report it. You can see their DRC, but I don't think DR matters in this situation. They're just a muppet, and something needs to be done about that particular driver. We go on board 80 here. This was submitted by Simon_127. We are, of course, in daily race B right now, for those wondering. And as we go through this left-hander, there was some racing there. And we're going to head on to this straight here. And you can see that the acceleration has gone off, and they're just sort of off the circuit. They're just going to hit the barrier, and then reappear like that. So obviously a big connection issue there. So they submitted this because it's a bit funny really. So they hit the barrier, they go up to P2 and then they drop back down to P3 because the connection resumes. All right, we're on board Uzi Makey here. This was submitted by MA10, as you can see in the bottom left hand side. So the Lamborghini driver goes for it on the inside here. Fair move in my opinion. They got it on the inside there. On the exit, maybe a bit too much. And Geordie then goes for revenge. Now I want to look at this from Geordie's perspective. So as we go into here, there is a gap on that inside. Uzi Makey is there for quite a while. So you can't just turn it in continuously there. But this, I just don't get it. I don't know why you would do this, to be honest with you. You just look like more on there, Geordie, in my opinion. It just bruised ego. I think we'll use that a lot in this video because it is a bumper stop video, this one. You've seen the length of it. We're on board Krusty Jeebus as we go to this left-hander. Now, they reported the McLaren for this one. They're going into turn 1. Yeah, it's a bit of a bad overtake, but it's not necessarily a dirty overtake. There was sort of a gap there, and they sort of carried a bit too much speed, so I can understand that. We go on board Quick Hazard then, on lap number 2, and they go towards the right side. There's no space there, and they do punt the McLaren there, in my opinion, and send them round. So the McLaren was the one that was originally reported for this, but I don't think it's all as it seems. Anyway, go back on board the McLaren. The Lamborghini up ahead, just struggling to stay back on the circuit. Now, in that situation, if you're the McLaren, you're going to be pretty peed off at that moment in time, which is why they do this, and they go for the send and just say, I'm having this position. It wasn't exactly, sending them off to the realms. It was a case of, I want my position back, and that's it. They get a 2-second penalty for it, which is fair in my opinion, as we continue on here. Going to head towards the next corner then. They do the same thing again. and sort of just say, I want to get in front, but they're sending themselves off, and now they're going to start losing more positions, which is why I never get... I don't even understand this, really, when you do this sort of thing, because you're just dropping back. You've got a penalty as well, so you can go even further back. That McLaren then goes off here with a slight tap, and as we go into this left-hander, we're going to continue on. Now, I actually think there's a worse offender in this race, and we've just jumped to them now. That is Django. He's coming up here then. They tried to go towards the right-hand side, and they pushed the McLaren off. Now, I don't know if they saw what happened previously with McLaren, and that's why they did it. I wasn't too sure. So, I did my race investigations, which we'll see in a second. So, we jump a bit further on here on lap number 4, and the Mustang here is just waiting up for this McLaren F1. I see the McLaren F1. And as they come through here, they're going to try and push them off. But because of their DR rating, there's a bit more ghosting as we continue on through here. We're going to exit the corner, and then they're going to try and put the McLaren F1. In fact, they actually managed to do that. But again, I did some investigation here. You see the McLaren there that was punted off earlier on by this Mustang. They're going to come around, and they're going to spin him out. Well, let's go back to that investigation. I mentioned it like 3 times now. We're going to jump back to it. And here we go. Lap number 1. So the Mustang brakes really early here, okay? And we've got a Porsche on the inside there. And everything's looking fine and calm as we go into this left-hander. They're 3 wide at the moment. Let's go 2 wide again. But as we go through here, there's a slight tap from the rear on the McLaren F1. So the Mustang then... There's contact there. And I think that's what causes the whole shebang in the first place. But I think it's an overreaction from the Mustang. That was DRB as we continue on here with a submission from G-Web at 64. It's, again, more overreaction. So there's a bit of netcode there, in my opinion, between the American and Brazilian. Just in the braking zone, there's a tiny bit of contact, but I think that's netcode issue and nothing insane. In my books, you can go back and watch that if you see. Otherwise, obviously, I've watched it like 3 times, recording it and reviewing it, etc. So the Brazilian retaliates and sends the Lexus into the barrier. I think that's a crazy overreaction, in my opinion. I don't know why you would do that. A 5-second penalty, so you've now ruined your race as well. Why you do that, I don't know. Now we've got aboard the Audi driver here. So as we come into this left-hander, they fully accelerate into the Brazilian. I'm not sure why they did that. That seemed very odd to me. Maybe there's some past history there. I don't know, but I don't know the past history, so I wouldn't judge it based on that. Ferrari then sends them off into the barrier. So does the Ferrari get a penalty? That's the question. I'm 5.5 right now. Yes, get a 4-second penalty. So just going downhill. Now, obviously, the Audi driver's not going to be happy with that. And they full throttle into the Brazilian and then spin round. So everyone's just ruining their races here. And I get very confused by this sort of thing. This is a DRA lobby as well, apparently. But, yeah, not the greatest thing in the world. We jump on board Moose now. This was submitted by Plan B Survivor. So Moose is a bit of a sore loser, from what I can tell from all these clips that I've seen. So, yeah, Moose doesn't like anybody going into P1 other than Moose. So we're going to head in towards the left hand here. This is by the submission person, Planet B Survivor, part of R4M. There's a slight tap in the corner, but that's because they stopped on the apex. So you expect that kind of contact, but nobody lost out. Moose there goes for the punt towards the left-hand side. Well recovered there by Plan B Survivor. But if you've got on board Moose here, you can see they're waiting up. So they are expecting to be punted back. So what they do instead is they go for the punt. Now, whether Plan B Survivor was playing that or not, I don't know. I suspect not with the way they came back on circuit. But Moose is doing that all the same. So then goes for a brake check as well, DRC. Yeah, just not the greatest thing in the world that I want to see. Right, next up then, we go on board, who's this? Parek, and this is submitted by X the Echo. So going into this right hand, then we've got Ryan up ahead. And that's a fairly aggressive move, in my opinion, by the French driver as we go through here. Now, Ryan doesn't like that at all. So, yeah, they're going to go straight for the send you off sort of situation. But again, why would you do that? You've just lost 1 position from the overtake. Now you've lost many more. I got a 4-second penalty for it. Again, it does baffle my mind. Obviously, they go for the takeout again. They do actually hit the Lamborghini driver. Now they're even further off the circuit. Going to lose more places. It's a bit pointless to me, Ryan. But hey, there we go. DRB in terms of that lobby. Now, do take note of these DR levels, if I'm honest with you. There is definitely a commonality there. Right, there's a slight bit of contact there between the Porsche and Malero here as we head in towards the right-hander. Now, Malero sort of came across at the very last second there. Could have caused the contact, in my opinion. Not sure if that was purposeful or not. Bit of an awkward situation when you come across someone's nose at the very last second. But here you can see Malero actually did that on the Porsche earlier on in the race. So maybe there was some revenge in that one. Once again, same DR level. Now, this is a YouTube clip submitted by Artus Everson. So as we go into this left-hander, we're going to accelerate out of here. We need to pay close attention up ahead to the 2 cars that are smashing into each other right now. So we've got a penalty for Alfondo there. But look at those guys ahead. They take each other out, and the Ferrari goes left. I absolutely burst out laughing when I saw that because it was just like typical. You're taking each other out, and then, yeah, you both lose out. Well done. Right, we're on board Salty here. So Salty's up ahead there, and Big Os has just gone on the inside of Salty. Force Salty off there, which is going to give Salty a 0.5-second penalty. So Salty takes that penalty. It's a lap later. Salty looking down the inside of Big Os. So that would have been quite the lunge and a half. But if so, there's no contact there at all. What Big Os is going to do here is go for a brake check. Seems a bit OTT of a reaction from Big Os, but I can sort of see where they're coming from. However, Salty, just before the penalty line, goes for a brake check on Big Os. Now, you didn't mention this, but yeah, I had a quick look at it myself. So it's just reacting with a brake check. So you lift off, you go for the brakes because you're hitting the penalty line to make it look like a penalty. Not the greatest thing in the world, in my opinion, even though you showed that one or reported that one. Right, we're on board Alessandro here, and Alessandro submitted this one. So it's down the inside of Ali Loves to Drink. Fair move, in my opinion. He made the apex there absolutely fine. Ali Loves to Drink doesn't like that, and then it's going to take out an innocent victim there as well. Why are you doing that? I don't know. So that is just not acceptable in terms of driving, in my opinion. What we will do is jump a bit later on. This is a completely different car here. So as they go on the brakes here, they completely missed their braking zone. They avoided the first car and unfortunately go into the second one. Absolute mistake that from the Spanish driver. You can really tell that because they just leave as well. DRA there. So everyone makes mistakes, and that's very obviously a mistake. So just an unfortunate situation there. Croatian up ahead tries to come across the nose of the Greek driver, but the Greek driver then accelerates out, not giving the Croatian driver any space. Croatian driver doesn't like that and then punts them and spins them round. So that's the first incident of quite a few in this one. So a bit later on here, we've got Falcon and we've got Chong up ahead. Now watch what Chong does here. They come across the nose of the Lamborghini. If you do that in a braking zone, you're always going to crash. You need to stay on your line in the braking zone, and that shouldn't happen. We're on board Mario now. So Mario here is going to just absolutely send it. They're not happy with that Croatian driver, who was obviously in a different incident on a race with Skywalker. Not Luke, obviously, or Anakin, for that matter. Anyway, 4-second penalty for the French driver. And what we're going to do here is fast forward as we head towards the hairpin. So you probably guess what's going to happen here right now. Look at that, full throttle. And they take out the Croatian again. Arguably, that was quite a good takeout. I will just point that out. I mean, I don't like takeouts, but you avoided all the innocent drivers and somehow got the one you wanted. So, yeah, I don't like seeing it. And for me, again, this all seems a bit crazy to me. So into the left-hander we go. So this is the reason why it happened. So as we come out of here, Mario 57 in the lead. The Croatian there in P2. And they're going to have some good racing here. Look, side-by-side action. Everyone's playing fair. It's all nice and dandy as we go through here. Mario there just maybe came across a little bit too much. Again, nothing major as we continue on with the racing. And as we head towards this right-hander, the Croatian is looking at the inside. Nope. Okay, yeah, there's a gap there. And they lean on Mario and then accelerate through there and sort of push him off. So I can see why Mario reacted, but again, it all seems just overreactive. Why are you doing that? Just race. Mistakes happen. Just accept the mistake. Go, you know, oh, they pushed me off a little bit. Very frustrating, but carry on. Scream 66 here, also pushing somebody off. A lot of that this week in the Lamborghinis. That was a DRA-rated lobby. Right, what's next here? Oh, this is the Shadow 97. This is a top split lobby then. We're on board Shadow right now. Lots of cars absolutely everywhere. Lap number 2. And as we go into here, Time Killer on the left-hand side, unfortunately, is going to go onto the grass and spear everyone off. And Shadow gains a whole load of positions. And what's interesting about this is Time Killer submitted their actual live perspective of this as well. So we're on board Time Killer right now. You can see the radar is very busy, and this is what they said as well. And what I want you to see is now they're going to take some screenshots. This is why you don't do it in the middle of the race. So they come back out the pause menu right at the very moment you really brake. Unfortunately, that pushes them on the grass, and that's the end of that one. They do say sorry as well, but yeah, don't take screenshots in the braking zone. A+ lobby there. Again, it's a mistake there. It is just purely a mistake, and very clear mistake as well. So we're on board Skills Blute here, submitted by Brandon. Goes into the hairpin. Way overshoots that way too much. This is also top split as well. We've got Polloff in there, the world champion. But we're on board here. The Dutch driver gets a 3-second penalty. Fair game, in my opinion, with that penalty. Gets surrounded by the top split drivers here. Look at this one. Paul, Laporte, Brandon's there, who submitted this clip as well. And they lose a fair few positions here. Take a look at the red Lamborghini on the left-hand side, because this is some amazing work here. As they go down here, look, Guaco notices what the Dutch driver is going to do and avoids it at all costs. Unfortunately, they go into Brandon. They get punted here, does Skills, and they go down. But I tell you what, the red Lamborghini Guaco there, superb awareness. And this is what you get from a top split lobby. Could see it happening. Really, really, really good. Right, we're on board. Who are we on board here? Mib, who decides to do a brake check on the start finish straight. Not sure why. This was submitted by Cy Orford, that we know does that a lot in terms of submissions. I do appreciate them as well. as we go into the left-hander. I haven't mentioned yet, but we've had over 100 clips this week. There's not all in this video. John Wick obviously didn't like the brake check, so spins mid-round or MB round. And they're going to go backwards. Confusing, to be honest, because obviously you're ghosted. But hey, there we go. Bit of a different perspective there. So we're on board side now as we go into the left-hander. We've got Thunder 13 up ahead. Now, this seems a bit common in your lobbies, but brake check there from Thunder 13. Excuse me, I went to hiccup. John Wick then, now behind Thunder 13. And Thunder 13 is going to do exactly what he did to Ty. Going to hit the brakes. Again, I don't know why you would do this, personally, other than to try and gain a small advantage, but you actually lose out in long term anyway, because you end up with damage and you're slower on a straight. I don't know. Maybe they don't know that. Anyway, leaving that hairpin there, they try to take out Sai and fail miserably, so I'm glad to see that they're not that good at taking people out other than brake checking. They try to take out John Wick as well, which also fails. Also, nice to see that the purposeful punts are not working. We're on board Paulo here, who is once again behind Thunder 13, so guess what's going to happen? Well, Thunder 13 hits the brakes and carries on. DRB there, so I've no idea with the brake checks, to be honest with you. It just seems daft to me, so just be careful if you are behind Thunder 13. Now, coming into this left-hander, Comter up ahead. Now, this was a majorly reported driver this week. So, Sider does tap them a little bit, but they did hit the brakes a little bit early there for the first corner. We advance a lap later, and we're going to go into the right-hander. So, they brake for that corner. Now, sometimes you will have to brake for it. Size on the left-hand side here. There's a bit of contact. Again, nothing major, but they're going to get rammed from behind by the German driver. For me, there was nothing in that, in my opinion. You are going to get a little bit of rubbing there in terms of the Group 4 cars, just due to their speed. Comters, they're going to try and go for the overtake. Side catches it very nicely. Well done with that one. And we go on board Comter, who then doesn't actually try and send it. They just go on the inside, and this is why I get confused. If you're trying to personally pump people, then don't... I don't know. It baffles me sometimes, behavior, but... Hey, this is why we're looking at this video, and I will explain it a bit more later on. They try to punt side, fail miserably, and nearly crash, which is kind of funny, to be honest with you. This is a different race now, so it's the same two drivers at it once again as we go into the left-hander. They just release the brakes a little bit here, just to... Basically, it's a push to pass that, but then they want to punt side completely off there, so again, not acceptable in the slightest. I haven't mentioned which drivers I'm reporting, not reporting since the first few, but I will try and get a list out there of the drivers I have reported and for the reasons for that. So now they're trying to point GT World's Sondus up ahead, who's just trying to hit the brakes and take the corner normally. DRB level. Again, you're probably seeing a very familiar sight here. There's a lot of DRB issues, in my opinion. That seems to be the driving level where there are issues. Now, we're on board a yellow Lamborghini there who hits a Booker up ahead. It looked like they hit the brakes a bit too late, made a mistake, and you can see there, they're a bit embarrassed by it and leave. Now, we're on board Camel here, who submitted this clip. Now, Camel's just behind Booker, was behind Booker going into the hairpin, and Booker believes Camel was the one who did this and takes them out. Again, this is why I don't like revenge punting, because you haven't got the full story there and punted the wrong person, an innocent driver. So, yeah, please don't do it. Just like a moron when you do it. Now, we're on board the person who submitted this, actually, Griswold, B-dubs. So, they sent it down the inside, just got it slightly wrong. They're trying to come back on the circuit, and B-Minor has a problem with that. Goes for the brake check, and then tries to brake check again, but it doesn't really work out for B-Minor. Now, we're going to advance a bit further on here. This is on B-Minor now. Looking up here, they're going to push the Canadian into the barrier as we go into the left-hander. Nearly taken out an instant, but they don't quite do it as we go through there. So this kind of behavior, let's just say that's a revenge punt. That should be it. But you can see here they've lifted off completely, so they are waiting up for the Canadian. This is now getting to the unacceptable level, in my opinion. I don't like revenge punts in the slightest. I understand them. I always say this, I understand them. I just don't like them. You see there, the Canadian did respond to the driver up ahead, and they're just trying to get out of the way of them now. It's very clear here. B-Man has just got an issue in their bonnet, and yeah, this is a sort of reportable behavior, in my opinion, because it turns into bullying. Because why are you doing it at this point in time? Your race is over. Just carry on racing like normal now. There's no need to do this. What do you get from it? Okay, wow, you just punted him again. Ooh, congratulations. You're doing well there, mate, aren't you? 4-second penalty. Anyway, you can see here the Canadian is still going on, so fair play to you. B-Man just makes a reappearance out of nowhere, and the Canadian's just going to get fed up with this now, and I would understand this completely there from the Canadian, and sends them off. So, yeah, DRB once again. Right, what's up next? We've got Jersey here. So this is submitted by Stiggy, actually, up ahead. And they went for the move. Unfortunately, ended up on the grass, hit the brakes, and then spun around. Unfortunate mistake, that one, by Jersey. And Stiggy gets a few free positions. Well played, Stiggy. And congratulations on those free positions. Again, embarrassment there. Instant leave. That's the kind of thing you expect. Where people go, oh, no, I'm so sorry I did that sort of thing. So they just leave instead because they just don't want to deal with it. Right, we come out of here then. Bruno comes back on the circuit, and I think that's just an unfortunate rejoin. DRA for that one. Right, we're on board. Who are we on board here? Box. This is from D White Gaming. Check out them on Twitch. This is an unfortunate mistake. They just hit the brakes a bit too late and sent the intent to fly in. No purpose there, in my opinion. I did have a look at the inputs. They get 5-second penalty, which is fair as we continue on with that race. That's quite a common thing to happen, actually, in terms of that hairpin. So this is Hawko, who thinks it's the final lap. Goes for the spin at the finish and then realizes there's another lap to go. We've all done that one. So you can see there people carrying on. It wasn't them that submitted it, but even so, that's an A lobby as we go into the left-hander drifting. And apparently they drifted the entire last lap there. Wow, well, this is a very busy track, isn't it? It's submitted by Jamie Anderson, who's up ahead in the very light yellow, greeny looking car at the head of this pack. Coming into here then, the 3-dotted driver gets hit from behind. A few other cars go off. Absolute chaos. This has been pretty much the theme of the week here as we continue on up here. Contact between the German and the French driver as we head in. I'll say head into a right-hander. They're turning left right now because they're being hit on that left rear quarter as we continue on. Jamie now behind, who is the one who submitted that clip. Slight tap from behind. They put 5-second penalty there. I'm not sure what the French driver's doing here. Going to go for the... Yeah. That was quite clear what they were trying to do at that moment in time. So they're going for the punt, etc. Now they're in the barrier. Jamie's in the barrier as well. Just carnage. Absolute carnage. And again, this was a theme of this week, to be honest with you, where lots of people sort of instantly get a bit ragey, road rage essentially, from the small contacts when it's inevitable when we use Group 4, a soft compound of tyre, because it's grip for days and people think they're Lewis Hamilton and the best of the best suddenly. We're going to head into this one, and there's a slight contact between the French driver and the Spanish driver. Sends somebody off into the barrier there. Right, so this is further on in the race, I think. Lap 13. We're on board the German here, we saw earlier on. So they hit the brakes. They were hit from behind. Hit again from behind as we go through here. That's by Rocket there. There's Jamie as we continue on out of here. So you think, okay, run to the final lap, the finish line here, and the German up ahead is going to try and take them out. But because they're DR level, they can't fully do it with the ghosting. And yeah, they lose out in the end. DRD, that one. So there is increased ghosting in the lower lobbies, if you didn't know that. So you're seeing it firsthand. This is submitted by Stiggy. So we're on board Dino here as we go into the right-hander, and they're racing Henry up ahead. So as we go into this one, they send it down the inside there. Henry sort of left the space open and turned in at the same time. So, not the greatest move, but there's still space there, in my opinion. Henry wasn't happy, though, and absolutely sent it into Dino and causes them both to crash. And now they lose more than the position they originally lost. And a 4-second penalty. Well done. That's very rewarding, isn't it? Right, okay, well, who's up next? Hugo GT. Oh, I remember this one. Submitted by SD Motorsport, this one. So, look at this. Up ahead, we've got two people side by side. Hugo GT goes for a superb move. Look at this. This is fantastic in terms of a move. Really well played with that one, Hugo. Absolutely saw what was happening, took the optimum line and nailed it. Unfortunately, the Spanish driver doesn't like that and is going to send them into the pit wall, which is very frustrating, to be honest with you. I really feel for Hugo on this one. That was an absolutely nailed move. Spanish driver loses tons of positions as well. You know, they're trying to keep a position and lose it themselves. So, yeah, a moron there. Right, Seb submitted this one. This is Dibdob, who is behind the Spanish driver, who slightly taps the German up ahead of Opel 1900. Hey, they're quite old, aren't they? 1900. Right, so we continue on here on board the German this time. So you see Dibdob up ahead, who submitted this one. We go into this left-hander, yellow flag up ahead. And as we go into here, they sort of went for a very aggressive move there, did Hoppel. But they're giving space on the outside. So, you know, it's an aggressive move, but they're still giving space. So they're not being dirty here, in my opinion. And that's one way to tell a dirty driver from bad driving or whatever it may be. See there, they avoided Dibdob. They tapped the brake there as well. So as we go to his left-hander, slight bit of contact. They're just misjudging here. I'll be interested to see what the DR rating is when it comes up at the end of this clip. We fast forward a little bit here towards the hairpin. Once again, side by side. 3 wide into the hairpin as we go into here. Bit of contact again. Nothing insane there. I'd argue Hoppel needs to give a bit more space to give it at the exit here as we go a bit further on. So Hoppel down the inside then. Just sent it a bit too much there. They're going to come back on the circuit. 4 wide this time. They're trying to get back on the circuit. They're just tapping Linhart and carry on. DRA. Well, I thought it was a bit lower in terms of driver rating, if I'm honest with you. So maybe could improve a little bit there. Right, we're on board a very busy American lobby here. So Gene submitted this one as we go into the left-hander. This is lap 12, and there's this many cars together fighting for the lead. So You can see we've had some good races this week, but it does bring a lot of carnage. And this is why there's been so many clips this week as well. So we have a last one left-hand side, racing on the South American account, I assume. As we go through here, they're into the barrier. Unfortunately, tapped Gene there. And everyone is going to come back on the circuit. Look at this. There's cars absolutely everywhere. Now, we did have a fair few clips of this kind of carnage. I haven't showed them all this time because there's a lot of lap 1 ones where everyone's crashing absolutely everywhere. So if you haven't seen yours, that's the reason why. Go on board this YouTuber right here. And as we go into the braking zone, they're going to release the brakes and purposely send Escobar into other drivers and take out a few other people. Not good to see, if I'm honest opinion. So, yeah, please don't go visit their YouTube channel. I don't like seeing that at all. If you are a content creator, you should be upholding, you know, good sportsmanship more than anybody else. But Ed, they're trying to punt each other as well. And similar to what happened earlier, both crash out. Right, we're on board Polo here. This was submitted by Uncle Pom Pom, who's see the GT7 liveries. Now, Pom Pom's going a little bit into Polo there. I'm not sure what was actually going on, but lap 1, turn 1, deep forest, grid start, standard stuff. Somebody normally crashes or dies. We've got to lap number 2 here. We're on board Rosetta, and the Spanish driver's going to come across a bit too much there, and that unfortunately is going to send them both off. That is on the Spanish driver. If you are Alex there, that is on you, so you can't have any complaints there. You don't veer onto the racing line when somebody's there. Now, Polo from lap 1, I assume is doing that punt back to Uncle Pom Pom because of that. There's a DRC, so I would argue some of those actions are what I expect in a DRC lobby. Not the purposeful punt, obviously. So, Andy172 submitted this one. AG Racer up ahead, gets hit from behind, and then the Spanish driver goes on the inside there as well. I'm pretty sure this was the guy who punted earlier, actually. Maybe someone can reverse this and double check, but I'm pretty sure it was. Anyway, we're on board Pineda, and yeah, they're now trying to maintain the podium. Unfortunately, the German driver, they go ahead. They're now going to try and punt AG Racer, and they actually succeed there. I'm hoping AG Racer gets along the line, but not acceptable. Definitely not acceptable. If it was you who did the pit wall maneuver earlier, that is definitely not acceptable. We'll have to look at that because it may be another one I have to report. I've got a lot to report this week, I'll be honest with you. But again, I'll go through it in a second. So once again, another one submitted by SD Motorsport here. As we head towards the left-hander, got Super GT power. Wasn't happy with the earlier punt by, well, I think it was more of a mistake than anything. I think it was Les, wasn't it? As we continue on out of there. So they tried to make sure they got the position. 3.5 second penalty then as we go up here. And they try to do a brake check and absolutely fail and get spun round. So that's on you, that one, mate, I'm afraid. They are a lobby. Right, what's next then? Ewan! So, Skills Blute, we saw them earlier, and they're in this one as well as Digit up ahead. Skills is just going to come across and purposely punt Ewan off. But fortunately, Ewan stays on, and Skills goes round. Bye, Skills! Yeah, that player I've seen in a few now, and also in some lobbies, and yeah, they've got a bit of an ego problem at the moment, in my opinion. Right, next up then, we've got a... Oh, hello. Oh, that was big. Javi, they're doing a purposeful punt. But there must be a reason for this that we'll have a look at. You can just check out the submission there in terms of Twitch. I did put that earlier on. So, Welsh Racer in this one then. What's Welsh Racer going to do as we go into here? Oh, the Spanish driver came across. You can't come across the nose like that. So, if you felt that they punted you, they didn't. You came across their nose. You don't do that. There was a little bit of overlap there. Right, Blue Racer. Now, this one isn't actually an instance. It's more of a penalty. We do show these as well. So, look at this. Blue Racer goes into pits. Clearly goes over that white line, but guess what? No penalty. So, there's obviously a bit of leeway there in terms of the penalty line, or pit lane line, should I say, at Deep Forest Raceway. Now, we're on board Drosky, who submitted this clip. We've got Cabo70 up ahead. He's got a 1 second penalty. He's going to start going all over the place while taking the penalty, but Drosky... steady and true, straight through the ghost there as they head towards the hairpin. Final lap, Cabo70 is going to go for the punt here as we go into the corner. You can see there, they're purposely making sure Drosky cannot get by. Now, because Drosky holds it, well played to you, then puts them in the wall. Not acceptable in the slightest, in my opinion. And as we continue on here, we're going to see another Lamborghini appear. Now, this Lamborghini sees all of the action and purposely sends Cabo70 off to allow them and Drosky to carry on through. So, a bit of like a revenge punt from somebody else. Why this happened, this is the only place I can find in the race. Slight tap there, lap 1, couple of turns in, everybody's absolutely everywhere. Cabo went into the back of Drosky and gets a 3 second penalty, and apparently Cabo blames Drosky. How does that work? I don't know, but even so, that's the only reason I could see. Right, Mickey submitted this one. We're on board Luffy here as we go through the hairpin. So some good racing there as we go through there. Absolutely fine, not a problem. It's the final lap though. And guess what happens on the final lap here? You have a big old slipstream run. They went into the barrier then. They try and punt Peter block, but unfortunately for them, they go spinning rounds. Peter carries on, finishes the race, and they're going to lose even more positions. That is what you call karma. That's also another DLB lobby. Right, next up, we've got Marino here as we carry on. So Marino, we're going to head in towards the braking zone here, and they hit the brakes and send Jay Meadows, who submitted this clip, off. Now, that did look on purpose to me, in my opinion. It really didn't. But they get a 4-second penalty, which is fair, in my opinion. Wasn't on purpose, but fair. Now, what you're going to see here is the GTR is going to slow down before Marino here, and then they're going to send Marino off, which I would say Marino's was a mistake, in my opinion. Now, to prove this is Marino on a different lap, right behind them, doesn't send them off. Doesn't send them off at all, just carries on racing like normal. So, yeah, I don't think that purposeful punt was acceptable. They're never acceptable, but even more so, if you know what I mean. Right, Dordanov up ahead, submitted this one. So they go into, they get hit a bit from behind and into car 27 there, or the name 27. So they come back on the circuit. They're obviously not going to be too happy, is this driver, because they just got sent off and they lost a couple of positions. However, once again, revenge punting is not good when you have no idea what happened there. And they spin Dordanov off, so definitely not acceptable. And, well, a DRB lobby once again. So what we're looking at next, we've got 8 cheat. Oh, this is a dodgy penalty. So this is very unfortunate. 8 cheat, 2 weeks in a row now. So they're going to continue on here. There's lots of action up ahead. So a couple of people have gone into the barrier. The Genesis is just sort of there. 8 cheat tries to get out of the way. Not quite quick enough. They do tap the Genesis and they get a 5-second penalty for it. Very brutal penalty. And yeah, I don't think that's really fair on you, to be honest with you. Right, next up then, we're on board Mats. This is a lap 1, lap 1, turn 1 incident once again as we go through here. I'll say I had a fair few of these, so apologies if yours didn't get shown. But even so, I've tried to show quite a few of them in this one. So in towards the right we go. Morgsy submitted this, Captain Morgan, wherever he is. I can't see him right now. And you can see lots of absolute carnage everywhere. Everyone into barriers. You know, penalties are going to be given absolutely everywhere as we continue on through here on board the Genesis. Why am I on this Genesis? Because they seem to have been involved in most of the action on this first lap. It's not because it's Captain Morgan. We've got on board Jerry then, who is... Well, it's just gone right there. But we'll go through the left-hander. We've got penalties up ahead. And Jerry just gets tapped from the rear there and gets spun round and hits Cashman as well. More penalties everywhere. DRC, that's a fully sort of what I expect there in DRC. Don't get me wrong. Some people in DRC are exceptionally clean and will be overly cautious. Others just don't care as much. And again, that's what I expect. You know, lots of mistakes happening all in one go. We're on board GT Motorsport here, who slows down. And they look to try and punt the Lamborghini. Get it wrong. And they punt an innocent person. They also haven't been in the pits yet, as you can tell by that front right tyre. But the reason for this is because of this here. So that was obviously later on in the race. As we go through here, a bit of contact there between the two. And again, I think netcode is playing a big part in this as well. As we go through the left-hander, and head towards... Oh, right, okay. So they hit the barrier, bounced off, and then hit GT Motorsport. And then they thought, oh, okay, they purposely hit me. I'm going to have to hit them back. I don't get the mentality of that, but that's what I can see. No, Alessandro submitted this one. Alessandro submitted a fair few. But into the right-hander. Alessandro sent it down inside on bump draft there. Now, it's quite an aggressive move, to be honest, but arguably it was fair. They made the apex as we go through the right-hander. Bump draft is not going to like that and hits him into the barrier to say, no, I did not like that. But then they carry on. So, oh, no, they don't. They hit the brake check as well. Right, so this is a lap later. No, it's not. It's a few laps later, actually. And once again, Alessandro's on the inside. There's a bit of contact between the two as we go through the left-hander. And we're going to continue on out of here. So Alessandro is trying to give space there. It's quite clear and obvious as we head in towards the hairpin. They're still side by side. This is good. Good, fair racing. As we go through here, bump draft's not going to like it and it's going to send them into the barrier. That's not acceptable in my opinion. Oh, VR. We haven't seen many VR this week. Jumza, you can check out on YouTube here as we head in towards the hairpin. Now, are they going to look left towards the apex? Yes, they are. They're doing this the proper way as well. Look at this. Fair play. Continue on out of here then. There's contact between the two. And now Jumza's going to try and get back on the circuit, but can't. Let him on. Let him on. And unfortunately, the Alpha doesn't let them back on there. So I don't think that was purposeful. I think that was just a case of another car on their left-hand side. Right, so we're on board another top split lobby here. I think it's top split. Anyway, we've got Jorge. Oh, well, we're on board Jorge. Andy was the one who submitted this up ahead. You can check them out on YouTube. as we go down the right under then. Slight bit of contact there. Nothing major here. And, oh, they're just going to make contact with that rear quarter, and it sends them round. Ugly should have waited for that one, but, yeah, it's quite clear what happened there. Now we're going to get to probably the worst clip that I've been sent this week. So, we're on board Hawko here. We've got MFS racing towards the left-hand side. Now, they've been racing fair. I went through the replay in detail because of what happened in this one. So there's slight contact there between the two. Now, there's very close racing in this one, as we know. You can see there's more close racing happening right there. Now, Hawko is going to take exception to MFS racing right now, and they're going to hold up. And this is where it begins to not be acceptable, in my opinion. You're purposely waiting up for somebody, and you're losing position. So you're obviously not in it to race anyway. You start on pole and you let off, which is fine. You know, start from last if you want to do that. That's entirely up to you. But you're waiting for MFS racing. Now, what you're going to do now is start what I would consider bullying, if I'm honest with you. You could argue, revenge punt, there you go, job done. Although you were already ahead of them after the incident, so it didn't really matter. But even so, now you're waiting up for them, and you're going to continue punting them. And I don't know why. I really don't know why. I consider this bullying. And I'm going to get onto this a little bit more now, in the fact that MFS Racing made a mistake, and I'll show you the mistake in a second, folks, but I wanted to show you this type of what I would consider just really unacceptable behavior in any situation on Gran Turismo, because you can see here, they're just making sure MFS Racing has a horrible time, and I don't understand why. They made an honest mistake in that corner, and now you're going to keep punting them round and round and round and round, and you can see MFS Racing just wants to get away. It's going to be demoed here again. Look, they're slowing down. They just want you to go away so they can carry on doing their own thing. But you're waiting up for them, so they go in the pits. So then you follow them in the pits. Again, I don't know why you would do this. We leave the pits here. MFS Racing has a 3-second penalty as well. And once again, you're going to purposely punt them. Again, unacceptable. So I want you to put yourself in the Brazilian shoes right now. I would argue most people would punt back at this point because you're being purposely taken out, or you would leave the race. Now, TCR drivers, we would leave the race. Let's be honest with you. But imagine if you're the Brazilian, and I don't know the Brazilian, I've never spoken to them in my life. Imagine if you're having a bad day or a horrible day, or your mindset's not in the right place right now, and then you've got some moron doing this to you. You make an honest mistake, and here it is. So look at this. We go through here. We're going to go into the left-hander. You can see you're slowing down nicely. You're going to hit the brakes. You just got it a tiny bit wrong. This car's behind, this car's in front of you. It's an honest mistake. And I checked this multiple times, and I checked multiple laps, and then Hawko was an absolute moron. What I'm going to do is jump to myself, actually, for a second. So what I want you to do is imagine you've had a really bad day at work, horrible day at work, or a horrible day in life in general. You come home and you go, do you know what? I just want to play video games. Just want to play video games and relax. So you jump on a daily race. You're racing along. You make a small mistake. You can accept you made a mistake. And then somebody wants to then constantly take you out. You're trying to get away from them because you just want to enjoy racing, lapping, doing whatever, but they're waiting for you. They're waiting for you constantly. Imagine what that will do to somebody's mindset if they're in a really low point. Imagine it. It's just not acceptable. And this is why I really don't like it. I am reporting it as well because I think it's atrocious. Yes, okay, do a revenge punt if you feel it's necessary or whatever. I hate revenge punts anyway, but I don't report revenge punts because I can understand it, but I hate them. But to do that, to just go out your way to make sure that they feel bottom of the barrel, it's just unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable. And that's one problem I have with some of the mindset in Gran Turismo anyway. So I made this video series and some people are like, oh, you're advertising bad driving. No, we try and have a look at bad driving and see where people are going wrong. Because in some of those cases, you could go, do you know what? I could have slowed up. I could have done something differently. The idea behind the series is you may get shown and publicly outed for being a moron, essentially. You know, if you are doing that and you get publicly outed, fair play. Okay, I think that's fair in my opinion. So the idea there is there's a risk I might get put on Plebs of the Week. Okay, I won't drive like an absolute idiot. I will try and drive respectfully. That's one idea. Obviously, we set up the team TCR to again try and be respectful driving, and you can show that respectful driving. The second is if I can report people, and people say, "How do you report, Tidge? How do you report?" Obviously, I can contact a few people at PD just due to my live event experience in the past. You know, I've got a couple of emails, and I email various people at certain times. But if I can report people, and at least one of them gets banned because they are driving, like we've just seen, then I think that's acceptable. And hopefully then the threat of that can happen. Now here's something for Gran Turismo themselves. Okay, I've had over 100 clips this week. I've gone through them all. I've got, some of them are going to be using different ones. So we've got like a GTWS one coming up, which I think is more significant in terms of this. But But even so, we've got different ones coming up, but every clip pretty much gets used except where there's music, or I can't find the incident because it's been described wrong, or you haven't linked it properly in terms of the link. Now, I don't understand why PD can't do this. I work full time, I edit other videos, I do other stuff. Now, to go through 10, 15 clips takes half an hour, okay, for me personally. But that includes recording it and make sure I get the right place. If Gran Turismo had a reporting system, similar to my form essentially, then I don't see why they can't do this. And then, you know, we can have better behavior, because that is the problem here at the moment, is that people are taking things into their own hands. And that's why we're getting a lot of revenge punts. So in my view, what PD should do is say this: if you purposely take somebody out, whether it's a revenge punt or not, and it's quite clear and obvious that you're accelerating into a corner where you should be hitting the brakes, or you're cutting the circuit to purposely hit somebody off the circuit, like we've seen in some of Daily Race B stuff that we've seen as well, then you get banned. You get banned for 7 days from sport mode. Just straight up. If you do it again after the first ban, 14 days, and just keep upping it. Keep upping it. They can do PlayStation bans, no problem. And that's what I feel they should do right now. So the video series is going to continue. I know some people are like, oh, I don't like it. If you don't like it, that's fair enough. Don't watch it. Please don't watch it. The whole point of the series is we show bad penalties, dodgy penalties that we've done. We see some mistakes that people are, and we go, okay, we can see why that mistake happened. People don't fully understand the situation themselves on some of the reports. And then we see some of the dirty driving, and that's the stuff I really want to get rid of and get away from. And that's what I want to show, that, but hopefully action if I can action it. And I'll do my best to do that. I want clean driving, fun racing in Gran Turismo. That's all I'm after, and that's the point of the series. I do hope you have enjoyed this video, as always. And if you did, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, stay in touch with all the latest content. Plenty more videos to come, as always. Do check out my partners down below. And if you missed last week's Plebs of the Week, it's right there to also watch. Thank you, and I hope to see you in a video or live stream again very soon.